All right, I made an attempt at starting this video the other day, and honestly, it got a little off the rails. I got a little off the rails because this is a passion. This topic, this particular ranking that I'm about to do today, leads me down a path that is particularly triggering to me, and that is just the over. And I'll summarize it here because I do feel like it's necessary before I start doing this ranking and start talking about these films. And that is the over seriousness of horror movies, really film in general, actually, that I think plagues modern film. I think it's a plague. This idea that every movie has to be super serious. This idea that every horror movie has to have a message. This idea that every single film that we consume has to beat us over the head with some sort of social message is honestly tiring. It's annoying and tiring. Sometimes you just go to the movies because you want to escape that world, the world that we live in. Now, I don't care if you're pro-Trump, anti-Trump. I don't care what your politics are. I really don't care. This applies. This applies to you because the truth is you deal with this stuff 24 hours a day. You deal with it at work. You deal with it at the grocery store when you're trying to afford groceries. You deal with it when you turn the television on, when you watch the news, when you get on the internet, if you get on Twitter, you're constantly inundated with real life problems. And what movies can do, what movies can be, they can be a bit of an escape for that. So you want to get away from that for 2 hours. You want to go, for 2 hours and live in a world that's not the hellscape that we currently live in. You're afforded that opportunity. So I really dislike when movies go out of their way. Look, I'm not saying this is necessarily a bad thing. I think there's a world where those movies obviously can and should exist. You should be able to go watch a film. You should be able to go watch whatever you want. You should be able to go watch a film that is going to give you a message if that's what you're in the mood for. But not every single film that comes out has to be this way. And so I appreciate sometimes, and even more so now in 2025, movies that I didn't appreciate back when they originally came out. Movies that I thought were really stupid, that were below brow. The Fast and the Furious series is a good example of this. You thumb your nose at the Fast and the Furious series, never mind the fact that it makes a ton of money. But the Fast and the Furious movies serve a purpose. Fast food serves a purpose, and we should not criticize a movie simply for being fast food. We should not criticize a movie that's goal is to have us have fun, right? Maybe the story is not 100% the best story you've ever seen. Maybe the acting's not great, but is it fun? Are you having a good time? Because sometimes 2 hours of a good time is better than 2 hours of somebody preaching at you. Well, let's be honest and clear with ourselves. I'm not insulting anybody who enjoys that. I'm not insulting people who enjoy like modern comedy, for an example, which is really just honestly in a lot of ways people standing up on stage having telling their life story. Not a lot of jokes to be found in some modern comedy. So whatever's your taste. I'm not going to yuck your yum, and I'm not here to do it, but don't yuck mine. So when I say something like the Resident Evil film series is incredibly underappreciated. And I'm talking about the Paul W.S. Anderson. Is it? Yeah, I'm talking about the Paul W.S. Anderson Resident Evil movies are underappreciated, and we are here to rank them. That's what we're here to do today. We're going to rank the Paul W.S. Anderson Resident Evil movies. I've seen 1,000 videos on YouTube crapping all over these films. They're not good films, but they're fun films. And I will tell you that there are sometimes I go into these rankings and I'm just dreading rewatching some of these movies because they're long or the rewatchability isn't good. The thing about these Resident Evil movies, they're very stupid, but the rewatchability is incredibly high. You could rewatch these movies all the time and not hate your life because they are dumb. And you can pick up your phone during the movie, and that's fine. But you're going to get good action. You're going to get decent special effects for the times, great special effects for the time. And you're gonna be hit with familiar characters and nostalgia and a lot of good things. You're gonna feel good in your tum-tum when you watch these movies, and sometimes feeling good in your tum-tum isn't a bad thing. So we are here to rank the Resident Evil movies. We will not be thumbing our nose at these films. We understand what they are, and they understood what they were. So I think it's important to have that context. Now that being said, there are some that are worse than others. We're going to get to that. And we're going to kick this thing off with number 6. This is, in fact, the worst of the series. So just know that going on in. Number 6 is Resident Evil Apocalypse. Now, this is the second film in the series. This is number 2. And it is far worse than number 1. Far worse. And I don't think it means to be, but it is. They took some of the ideas from Resident Evil 2, the video game. They took some of the ideas from Resident Evil 3, the video game, and they jammed them into this movie. It just didn't work. It felt a lot more of the samey, I will say. I do like that it takes place in Raccoon City. I do like the setting of this film because I like that the first one was sort of contained to the hive, and in the second one we expand the world a little bit. Now you're getting more of Raccoon City. This is what the city looks like as it's being ravaged by the T-virus. I like Nemesis. I think it's cool that they included Nemesis, but I hate the way that Nemesis was handled in this movie. I hate it. I hate this like forced relationship between Alice and the Nemesis, whereas they were just two people who sort of went through the first one together, but they're treated as if they're brother and sister almost in this movie. She has like this weird connection to the Nemesis. I don't quite understand it. I get the idea that they sell you that both of them have been sort of experimented on by the Umbrella Corporation. And so you have one that is this beautiful woman who maintains a lot of her human characteristics. Granted, she has superpowers, but she manages to maintain a human appearance and yada yada yada. And then the other, that's just this abomination, and having the two of them fight it out to see which one is the better for the Umbrella Corporation. Certainly takes a much more oriented approach, which the series will continue throughout. The first one did, but this one, it leans far more into action than it does horror, at least in the first one. They tried to maintain a bit of the guise that there's going to be some horror elements in this movie. The second one, not so much. It really took an action-oriented approach. There's a lot of pointless and useless characters in this one. It's far worse than the sequels. I think the extra characters outside of Alice are utilized far better in some of the future movies than they were in this one. I think in this one they're very expendable. They're very useless. And they are just a group of people hanging out with Alice. I do like Mila Jovovich's take on Alice throughout the entire series. So that's important to note. I think she does a great job being the strong female lead in this series. She's a badass. Is she a bit of a Mary Sue? Yeah, you could make that argument for sure. A lot of plot armor on her, but still, she's a badass, and she's walking around and she's doing badass things, and that can be cool. That can be fun. Because again, turning your brain off and watching this badass just sort of tear through zombies and tear through Umbrella Corporation soldiers, stars, whatever. It's great. It's great. And so I think Resident Evil Apocalypse, it's very clearly, in my opinion, the worst of the series. But it's still fun, and you could still put this on as a popcorn movie and have a good time with it. And if the worst movie in your series is a movie that you just throw on and have popcorn, it's a popcorn movie, you're not as bad as everyone says you are. So coming in at number 6, Resident Evil Apocalypse. Now, coming in at number 5, and really not too far ahead of Resident Evil Apocalypse. I think this is very clearly the second worst film in the series, and that's Resident Evil: The Final Chapter. I mean, they sort of told a blob of a story here. The story was never the main element of this film series. It never hung on its story. And actually, every single one of these movies sort of retcons what happened before, usually at like the beginning of the movie. So usually the way they kick these movies off is they'll have like Alice sort of do this monologue to start the film. She's sort of catching you up on things that happened. She's sort of telling a little bit of the story. And every single time, in every single movie, they retcon a little bit of what happened before. I don't know why they made this choice. I don't know if it just fit with like the story they wanted to tell a little better. And they thought, look, people aren't coming to these movies for the strict canon and the wonderful storytelling. So who cares? Who cares? They're probably right, but they took that. This one is the most egregious. This one is like the most egregious of retconning. The whole movie almost retcons a lot of what's happened before, and I'm not quite sure again why they made that choice for this one. I think this one did come out like quite later than the other ones, so maybe that's why. Maybe they had to. But the action scenes in this one too, they just don't hit the same way as the other. I don't know if the budget for this one was taken down a notch. I really don't know if that's the case, but the action sequences in this movie, they don't hit the same as the previous ones. So I don't know why that is. The action is kind of what you're here for, And in this one, it doesn't hit as the same way. They did a lot of these shots where they like zoom in a little bit. I don't know. It's just not shot the same, and it suffers. Isaacs, however, is a great character in this film. Isaacs was in some of the previous films as a bad guy, sort of the one doing some of the experimentation on Alice. And in this film, he's handled very well. I actually love the meat he's given in this film, really notching up that evil genius bad guy sort of role. And I think he does a great job in this film in particular, though he's good throughout the series. Alexander Isaacs, in this one, he is really, really he's really handled quite well. So I would give this movie credit for that. I didn't like the ending, but could they have come up with an ending that I would have liked? I don't really know. I mean, again, I'm not here for the story. So do you really need to deliver like a banger ending? I don't think so. I think it's fine. There are better sequels is why this one is so low. There are just better sequels to this film series. There are better sequels to the original. And so here it is at number 5. At number 4, we're taking Resident Evil Retribution. I want to be very clear. This one was weird. This one was weird. But this one was great. It's a great, fun action movie, okay? So let's just say the story, the plot. Who needs it? We don't need it. We don't need a fantastic novelistic story in these movies. We're coming for the action. And in this one, we're getting a lot of action. Look, Paul W.S. Anderson delivers what you want when you come to these movies. You got Barry here. You've got Leon here. You've got Ada Wong here. You got a lot of nostalgia in this one. There's a lot of characters where you're pointing at the screen like, oh, it's Leon. Oh, it's Ada. And that's awesome. That's awesome because those nostalgia, that nostalgia hitting that is kind of the strength of this a movie series like this. It's a strength. Wesker is the big bad here. There are tons of boss battles in this one. This one felt like a video game in a way because there's so many boss battles with Wesker being the big bad, and he's such a great big bad. He really is in this movie series as well. He's such a great. Wesker's an awesome character because he's so what he is. He's so generically what he is, and in a way that's fantastic. Like you don't need to know the motivations or the backstory or any of that to know Wesker's the bad guy. You can look at him and tell, and he encapsulates that bad guy so well. I liked the weird pivot in this film because there's a pivot in this film that takes it into like Aliens territory. And actually, upon thinking about it, I might like if I were to redo this list because I was like as I was going, I was ranking them. But again, I'm like kind of wanting to put this one higher because I really liked it. It's not as good as Aliens, of course, but it takes that sort of like homage. It pays homage to Aliens in this movie. This is great. This is a fun movie. It belongs maybe higher than where I put it, but it's good here. It's good here. And so here it is at number 4. And at number 3, we have Resident Evil Extinction. And the thing about Extinction is it stumbles. It stumbles. Like it's not a great movie, and you're going to find these stumbles as you watch it, as you go through it. You're going to feel it stumble a little bit. The cloning side plot, I hate that. I don't know why, but I just didn't think that worked, and I really didn't like it. I don't think it adds a lot to the story. I don't think they did a lot with it either. I guess you have an army of Alices. Oh, okay, that's kind of cool, but I don't know. I didn't really like that, but the post-apocalyptic setting that this one has actually serves very well. Like you see that with Resident Evil and you think this isn't Resident Evil. This doesn't fit. This is, but I like it. I actually think it works well. They handle it very well. They utilize it very well. A lot of Mad Max in this movie, but paying homage to Mad Max, just like in the previous one, paying homage to Aliens, you're not going to miss. And you don't miss when you pay homage to Mad Max. The plot, I do think the plot's better here. It doesn't make a lot of sense, and it's not very coherent, but it certainly was a step up above 2. So when they made the second one, I think at some point they decided we need to lean into a little bit more ridiculousness here, and we need to take a different direction, and they did, and it worked. It worked because this one is better than 2. It was a step up. It is absolute peak absurdity They lean into that. They know exactly what they're giving their audience, and I love them for that. And I love them for that because, again, this is a popcorn film series that is not meant to blow your mind with fantastic story. It's just not meant to do it, and that's okay. All right, coming in at number 2, we have Resident Evil Afterlife. This is my favorite one when it comes to the action of a film. The action, this one I think takes the cake. I think it's the best. If you're judging these films just based on like the action sequences, I think this one is the best. I like the group in this movie. I like the side characters. I like Alice's sort of relationship that she builds with these side characters. It's done very fast. It's not like they don't spend a lot of time on it. But this is the most likable group of side characters, in my opinion, in the whole series. I like the boss battles in this one. I think they're done very well. It's fun, and again, that heightened action that this one has plays well into those boss battles. They feel serious. They feel like boss battles. The prison setting, I think it's the best setting in the entire series. But that seems to be the case with any film that has a prison setting. It just works, and it really works in these sort of end-of-world situations. Because it makes total sense. It worked in The Walking Dead, and it works here. I enjoyed the prison setting quite a bit. I like Chris Redfield being in this one. That was a good piece of nostalgia. I like it. I like that it was the dude from Prison Break. I can't remember his name. But this movie is sheer nonsense. It is completely void of anything that makes a modern-day A24 movie or a modern-day Neon movie, and because of that, I love this movie. I love this movie. This is the one that I would probably go back and rewatch again and again and again, is Resident Evil Afterlife. It's sheer nonsense. It's great. It's great. So I would highly recommend actually watching this one. If you were to pick one to watch and you're not watching the original, this is the one. This is the sequel to go watch. Now, coming in at number 1, probably no surprises here. We're talking Resident Evil, the original Resident Evil movie. It's an interesting spin on the game. It's not necessarily a good spin on the game, but I would contend that Paul W.S. Anderson here, if you go back and replay the first Resident Evil game, the voice acting's bad. The story doesn't make a whole heck of a lot of sense, but I guess it doesn't have to. The characters are very stereotypical one-dimension characters. And so to say that Paul W.S. Anderson didn't capture the lore of the game here, I don't know, man. I mean, he made a movie that's kind of the same as that, all right? He took it, he did some different things with it. I think that's fine. Alice is a brand new character created for the series, created for the movie series, and I think she works. She fits into the world well. She fits into a sort of zombie-ridden world well. It's realistic to think that an evil corporation would experiment on humans to create super weapons. I think that's completely believable. I think that happens in real life, weirdly. So to think that Alice is this she might weigh 105 pounds, but she has super strength and superpowers. At least they explain that. At least they didn't just throw an 105-pound normal woman in here, and we're supposed to believe that she's the strongest person in the room. No offense, but 105 pounds, you're not going to be very strong. The escape through the hive was fun. It was fun to watch that. The Red Queen concept, I like that. I like this idea of this evil little girl who's really just a computer program, but is an evil little girl. I like that. Very predictable, right? The kind of jerk turns on everybody and sort of gets his comeuppance. That's very predictable. It's not bad. It kicked off a very financially successful film series for the studio. Say what you want about Resident Evil. It certainly made a lot of money. And in a world full of films that take themselves too seriously, Resident Evil and the series and the sequels are welcome departure from films that like the smell of their own farts. And so that's my ranking of the Resident Evil series. Let me know what you think. Did I miss one? Like, was I off? Was I like far off on my assessment? Do you not care? Is this a film series that you hate? If so, let me know why. I mean, let me know why you hate it. Do you think that there is a world where there's not space for films like this? Because Tubi exists, and there's a lot of trash on Tubi that I hear people talking up big, and some of that trash is far worse than anything you got here. So let me know in the comments what you think. I know this is probably the timing of this is interesting with the Until Dawn movie coming out. But I think it's different. I do. I think it's different. So anyways, let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you guys and gals on the next one.